The Millionaire's Secret Mind. A Guided Journey into the Mind of Abundance. By Sarah Ellis. Introduction. The secret that was hidden in plain sight. Close your eyes for just a moment. Actually, if you're driving or walking, keep them open. But take a breath, just one. Let your shoulders drop. Good. Now I want you to think about something. Think about where you are financially right now. Not to judge it, not to feel bad about it, just to notice it. Because here's the truth that most people spend their whole lives never learning. Your financial life is not the result of your circumstances. It is the result of your thoughts. I know, you've heard variations of that before. Maybe it sounded like a motivational poster. Maybe it felt vague or impossible to act on. But what if I told you there is a very precise, documented, scientifically supported mechanism by which your habitual thoughts literally construct the financial reality you live in every single day? That's what this audiobook is about. Not vague inspiration, not empty cheerleading. The actual framework of how your mind builds or dismantles your wealth. If you listen, really listen, and if you allow yourself to genuinely consider what I'm about to share with you, something is going to shift. It may be subtle at first, a new thought that wouldn't have occurred to you yesterday, a different response to a financial setback, a quiet, growing certainty that things can be different, that you can be different. Or it may be immediate, a recognition, a remembering of something you already knew somewhere deep inside. Either way, the journey starts right now, right here. Wherever you are walking, driving, running, or sitting. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Thought That Started Everything. I want to tell you about two people. Both were born in the same city, same decade. Neither grew up with money. In fact, both grew up without it, with all the stress and scarcity that brings. One grew up to struggle financially for most of his adult life, living paycheck to paycheck, always feeling like wealth was something that happened to other people. The other became extraordinarily successful, not from luck, not from inheritance, but from building businesses, investments, and a life most people only dream about. What was the difference? The first man woke up every morning with one dominant thought: how am I going to make it through this month? The second man woke up every morning with a different question entirely. What opportunity exists in my life right now that I haven't fully seen yet? Same city, same economic starting point, completely different internal worlds. And here's why that matters so much. Your brain is not a passive observer of your life. It is an active filter, a search engine. Every single second, your subconscious mind is processing roughly 11 million bits of information. Sounds, patterns, faces, opportunities, risks, words. And it is delivering to your conscious awareness only the tiny fraction that matches the programs already running underneath. If the program running underneath says, "I am not the kind of person who builds wealth," your brain will filter out the opportunities that would prove that belief wrong, and filter in the evidence that confirms it. Not because wealth isn't available to you, because your mind has been instructed by years of habitual thought not to see it. This is not a flaw, it is a feature. Your mind is extraordinarily efficient. It is doing exactly what it has been trained to do. The question is, who trained it? And is the training working for you or against you? Most of us absorbed our fundamental beliefs about money before age 7. Think about that. Before you could read a financial statement, before you understood compound interest, before you had any conscious say in the matter, you were watching, listening, absorbing the emotional and verbal patterns of the adults around you. Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. Rich people are greedy. Who do you think we are? These weren't just words. To your developing mind, they were instructions, programming, foundation being laid down for a house you would be living in for decades. And here's the extraordinary news. This foundation can be redesigned. Not by willpower alone, not by grinding harder, not by reading the right books and then forgetting them, by repetition, by emotion, by feeding the subconscious mind, consistently, daily, with the programming you want it to run, until the new pattern becomes the default. That's what we're doing together in this audiobook. And that is what the practice waiting for you at the end of this journey is designed to accelerate. But we'll get to that. First, let's understand exactly how powerful your thoughts really are. Chapter 2, The Neuroscience of Belief. Why Thinking is Doing? Let me share something that neuroscientists discovered in the 1990s that absolutely changed how we understand the human mind. A research team studied pianists learning a new piece of music. One group practiced physically, fingers on the keys, hour after hour. The second group was told only to visualize playing. No physical contact with an instrument, just the mental rehearsal of the music, note by note, in their minds. At the end of the study, researchers scanned both groups' brains. The results were staggering. The neural changes, the actual physical restructuring of brain tissue, were nearly identical between the group that physically practiced and the group that only imagined it. Let that sink in for a moment while you walk. Your brain cannot reliably tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. The neural pathways activated are the same. The emotional responses are the same. The subconscious programming that results is the same. This is not mysticism. This is documented neuroscience. And it means something extraordinary for you. Every time you vividly imagine your abundant life, your financial freedom, your growing wealth, your ability to give generously and live fully, your brain is treating that as real experience. It is literally rehearsing reality, building the neural infrastructure for the life you are imagining to become your actual life. Conversely, and this is the part most people don't consider, every time you vividly imagine your fears, your limitations, your financial worst-case scenarios, the same thing happens. Your brain rehearses that too. Where the mind goes, the man follows, and the woman, and the life. There's a concept in psychology called confirmation bias. It means that once we hold a belief, any belief, our minds will unconsciously seek evidence to confirm it and discount evidence that challenges it. It's not a character flaw. It's a fundamental feature of human cognition. Which means that if you believe money is hard to come by, your mind will find every piece of evidence supporting that belief and make it feel ironclad. And if you believe opportunity is everywhere and abundance is your natural state, your mind will start finding evidence for that instead. The belief comes first. The evidence follows. This is not naive. This is not ignoring reality. You still have to take action. You still have to develop skills, build relationships, make intelligent decisions. None of that changes. But the mind that approaches those actions from a foundation of abundance, worthiness, and certainty will take different actions than the mind approaching them from scarcity and fear. It will persist longer, it will see more options, it will attract different people and different outcomes. The thinking shapes the doing. The doing creates the results. The results reinforce the thinking. Round and round, in whichever direction you start the cycle. The question has never been whether your thoughts shape your reality. They do. The question is whether you are doing this by accident or by design. You are now choosing design. Chapter 3: What Wealthy People Think About and What They Don't. I've spent years studying the thought patterns of people who have built genuine, lasting wealth, not inherited it, not won it, not stumbled into it, but built it deliberately, from a beginning that often looked no more promising than yours or mine. And what I found was not a secret strategy, not a special investment vehicle, not a business model that only a few people know about. It was a set of thought patterns, habitual ways of seeing themselves, seeing money, seeing the world. And those thought patterns drove everything else. Here are the most striking differences I found. Pattern 1. Wealthy thinkers ask different questions. Most people, when facing a financial challenge, ask, "Why does this keep happening to me? How will I ever get ahead? What's the point?" These are not just pessimistic questions. They are instructions to your brain. They are search queries. And your brain, being the extraordinary machine it is, will search until it finds answers. Ask, "Why does this keep happening to me?" And your brain will find reasons. Ask, "What opportunity exists here that I haven't fully seen yet?" And your brain will find those instead. The question you habitually ask yourself in moments of difficulty is one of the most important things about you. Pattern 2. Wealthy thinkers are comfortable with delayed gratification, but not for the reasons you think. It's not that they're better at discipline, it's that they have a vivid, emotionally real picture of the future they are building. The future is so real to them, so felt, so present, that choosing a smaller pleasure now in service of a larger vision feels natural, even exciting. When your future is vague, delayed gratification feels like deprivation. When your future is vivid and emotionally charged, it feels like strategy. Pattern 3. Wealthy thinkers treat money as a tool, not a source of identity or security. People who struggle financially often relate to money with anxiety, guilt, or shame. It becomes entangled with their worth as a person. Earning more feels dangerous. What if they lose it? What if people treat them differently? What if success means something scary? Those with a genuinely abundant mindset see money as neutral, a resource to be directed wisely, grown deliberately, and used in service of what genuinely matters. They don't fear it. They don't worship it. They direct it. Pattern 4. Wealthy thinkers fail differently. This may be the most important pattern of all. Every person who has built extraordinary wealth has failed, often spectacularly, often repeatedly. The difference is not the failure, it's the story they tell themselves about what the failure means. A wealth-building mind looks at failure and asks, "What did I learn? What do I now know that I didn't know before? What did this failure teach me that success couldn't?" A scarcity mind looks at failure and says, "See, I knew it. This always happens to me. I'm not the kind of person who succeeds." These are not just different emotional responses. They are different neural programs. And over time, they produce entirely different lives. The extraordinary thing is that every single one of these thought patterns can be learned. They are not innate. They are not reserved for some special category of human being. They are habits. And like every habit, they can be installed through the right practice, repeated consistently over time. Chapter 4. The Gratitude Gateway. How Thankfulness Unlocks Abundance. I want to talk to you about something that might sound too simple for the ambitious person listening to this. Gratitude. I know, you've heard it before. Keep a gratitude journal. Count your blessings. Yes, but I'm not going to ask you to be grateful as a spiritual practice. I'm going to explain why gratitude is one of the most empirically documented wealth-amplifying states available to the human brain. When you enter a genuine state of gratitude, not performed gratitude, not listing things mechanically while your mind is somewhere else, but real, felt, embodied thankfulness, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin. Immediately. Dopamine is the neurochemical of motivation and reward seeking. Serotonin is the neurochemical of calm, confident well-being. Together, they produce a state that scientists would describe as optimal for creative problem-solving, for noticing opportunity, for taking risk intelligently, and for sustained motivation. In other words, gratitude literally makes you better at wealth building, chemically, measurably. But there is a deeper dimension to this. Think of your mental state as a frequency, a signal that you are broadcasting into every room you enter, every conversation you have, every decision you make. A mind in genuine gratitude broadcasts openness, abundance, warmth, possibility. People are drawn to it. Partnerships form around it. Opportunities surface in response to it. A mind rooted in lack broadcasts contraction, scarcity, anxiety, need. And people, consciously or not, sense it. They pull back. Opportunities feel scarce because the broadcast itself creates scarcity. Here is the practice I want to invite you into, and you can do it right now, wherever you are. Think of one thing, just one, that is already working in your financial life. Maybe it's small. Maybe it's just that you have income of some kind. Maybe it's that you have a skill someone will pay for. Maybe it's simply that you are alive and listening to this, which means you have time remaining to build something remarkable. Find that one thing, and allow yourself, just for 10 seconds, to feel genuinely grateful for it. Not to think I'm grateful for this, to feel it. In your chest, in your breath, in your whole body. That state you just created, however briefly, is the frequency of abundance. And with practice, you can learn to access it in seconds, carry it into your day, and let it reshape what is possible for you. The affirmation practice that accompanies this audiobook is specifically designed to help you build this state, morning and evening, consistently until it becomes your default. More on that soon. Chapter 5. Autosuggestion, the art of talking to yourself correctly. There is a science to how you talk to yourself, and most of us are doing it completely wrong. Not out of foolishness, out of ignorance. No one teaches us this. We absorb self-talk patterns from the environment around us, and unless we've done deliberate work to change them, we are running mental scripts that were written for us by people who were also running scripts that were written for them. The study of intentional self-talk, of deliberately feeding your subconscious mind specific, emotionally charged messages to reshape its programming, has a name: autosuggestion. It was articulated clearly in the early 20th century by researchers and thinkers studying the science of the mind, and its principles have been confirmed and deepened by modern neuroscience. Here is the core principle. Your subconscious mind accepts as true whatever you tell it repeatedly, with emotion and conviction. Read that again. Not just repeatedly, with emotion and conviction. Because the subconscious mind is not primarily a logic processor, it's a feeling processor. It responds to the emotional charge behind your words far more powerfully than to the words themselves. This is why thinking positive thoughts half-heartedly doesn't work. It's also why negative self-talk is so devastatingly effective, because it tends to come with enormous emotional charge. Fear, shame, anger. These emotions carry those negative messages directly into the subconscious and plant them deep. Autosuggestion is how you reverse this, by crafting statements that are specific, present tense, and personally meaningful, and by delivering them to yourself with genuine feeling. You plant new programming, new beliefs, new instructions for your mental search engine. Let me give you an example. There's a vast difference between "I want to be wealthy someday" and "I am someone who naturally creates and attracts wealth. Money moves toward me because I create value and receive it with gratitude and confidence." The first is a wish. It is future tense, vague, and carries the implicit message that wealth is not currently yours. The subconscious hears, "I don't have it yet." The second is an instruction. It is present tense, specific about how, and carries the emotional tone of certainty. The subconscious hears, "This is who I am." Now, you might think, but that's a lie. I'm not currently attracting wealth. And here is the key insight. Your subconscious mind doesn't check the newspaper to verify your statements. It doesn't compare them to your bank balance. It takes them as input and begins organizing your perceptions, decisions, and behaviors to make them consistent. In other words, you tell it first. Reality follows. This is the core of affirmation practice. And when it's done correctly, with specificity, with real emotional engagement, with daily consistency, the results are not subtle. They are measurable. They show up in what you notice, what you pursue, how you respond to setbacks, who you attract, and eventually, very concretely, in what you build. Chapter 6: The Sleeping Mind, Your Overnight Wealth Builder. There is a window of time that most people waste completely. In fact, most of us spend it filling our minds with the worst possible content for our financial futures. The hour before sleep. Here is what typically happens. After a full day of work, stress, and stimulation, most people spend the last waking hour scrolling through bad news, watching anxious entertainment, or rehearsing the worries of the day. And then they carry all of that emotional static directly into their subconscious mind as they sleep. Because here's what neuroscientists have confirmed. As you drift towards sleep, your brain transitions through specific wave states, from beta, the alert analytical state, into alpha, which is associated with calm relaxation and creativity, and then into theta, which is the state of deep meditation, hypnosis, and profound suggestibility. In the theta state, the critical filter of your conscious mind relaxes. The subconscious opens, and whatever it receives in those moments, it receives very, very deeply. Think about what most people are feeding their subconscious mind in that window. Catastrophic news cycles, social comparison, unresolved anxiety. Now think about what becomes possible when you change what you feed it. Wealth affirmations delivered as you drift towards sleep pass through the open gate of the subconscious with almost no resistance. They are received not as suggestions to be evaluated and probably rejected, but as truth to be integrated and acted upon. And what does your subconscious do with them overnight? It works. While you rest, your subconscious mind, processing 11 million bits per second, remember, is processing, integrating, and acting on the instructions it received, making connections, generating solutions, preparing you, at a neurological level, to perceive and act on opportunities that would have been invisible to the old programming. People who practice this consistently report something remarkable. Waking up with new ideas, unexpected creative solutions to problems they had been struggling with consciously, a lightness around money that wasn't there before, a quiet certainty that begins to emerge from somewhere below conscious thought. This is not magic. This is the subconscious mind doing what it does best with better instructions. There is a complete evening affirmation audio designed specifically for this window, to be listened to as you lie down in the 15 to 20 minutes before sleep. It has been crafted to move you through gratitude, to open the subconscious, and then to plant specific, emotionally rich wealth programming directly into your deepest mind. I'll tell you exactly how to access it. But first, let's talk about consistency. Chapter 7: The Compound Effect of Thought, Why 30 Days Changes Everything. You have probably heard of compound interest in finance. The idea that small, consistent growth applied over time produces results that dwarf what any single large effort could produce. The same principle operates in the mind. A single affirmation session changes very little. 10 sessions change something measurable. 30 consecutive sessions, morning and evening, with genuine emotional engagement, begins to produce results that you can see in your outer life. Here's why. Neurological change is not dramatic. It is gradual. The brain forms new pathways through repetition. Each time you activate a thought pattern, the neural connection supporting it becomes fractionally stronger, slightly more efficient, a little more automatic. At first, you have to consciously choose the new thought. It feels effortful, unfamiliar, even false. This is normal. It is not a sign that it isn't working. It is a sign that the old programming is still stronger than the new. Keep going. Around day 10, something starts to shift. The new thoughts come a little more easily. The emotional resistance, the part of you that says this is ridiculous, you're not actually wealthy, gets quieter. The new pattern is gaining traction. Around day 20, you may notice something stranger and more exciting. Your external world starts to mirror the change. Not because the universe is rewriting itself for you, but because your perception has shifted. You are noticing things that were always there. Opportunities that your brain, under the old programming, was filtering out. A conversation that leads somewhere unexpected. An idea that feels different from your usual ideas. A new connection in your professional world. A piece of information that arrives at exactly the right moment. By day 30, consistent practitioners often describe something they struggle to articulate. A felt sense that wealth is no longer a distant destination. It feels like a direction they are genuinely traveling in. Like it is becoming part of who they are, not just what they want. This is the compound effect of thought. Small, daily investment. Exponential return over time. The people who do not get results from affirmation practices are almost always people who were inconsistent, who did it when it was easy and skipped it when life got hard. But those difficult days, the days when nothing seems to be working, when doubt is loudest, when the scarcity thinking is pushing hardest, those are the days the practice is most powerful. Because those are the days when the old programming is most aggressively trying to reassert itself. The practice is the defense and it is the offense at the same time. Chapter 8. Building your daily mental conditioning. Let me give you a complete picture of what a wealth-building mental practice actually looks like in the real world. Not as an ideal, but as a practical reality for someone with a commute, a family, responsibilities, and a life that doesn't stop for self-improvement. Because here's the truth. You don't need hours, you need intentional minutes, consistently. Morning, the first 20 minutes. The most important window of the day for your wealth mindset is the first 20 minutes after waking. Before the news, before email, before anyone else's agenda enters your mind. In this window, your brain is still in a relatively relaxed alpha wave state, slightly suggestible, creative, and open. What you feed it in this window sets the tone of your neurological operating system for the entire day. The practice, 15 to 20 minutes of wealth affirmations, received actively, not as background noise, but with full attention, full emotional engagement, and visualization. Imagining your abundant life as you listen, feeling the reality of it in your body. Then, critically, writing down any idea, intention, or inspiration that arose. Because your subconscious, primed by the practice, will often deliver something valuable in those moments. During the day, environmental anchors. This audiobook is an example of what I call an environmental anchor, a wealth mindset input that fits into time you're already using. Your commute, your walk, your workout. The goal is to make your mental environment, the information, the self-talk, the conversations you absorb, consistently point in the direction of abundance. Not perfectly. Life doesn't work that way. But consistently enough that the signal is louder than the noise. Evening, the final 25 minutes. The last conscious window before sleep is your other most powerful opportunity. As described in the previous chapter, this is when the subconscious is most open, when the gate is down and the input goes deep. The practice. Listen as you lie down. Receive the affirmations with an open, receptive mind. Feel genuine gratitude. And if you drift to sleep before the recording ends, that is not a failure. That is the practice working exactly as intended. This is a bookend practice. Morning and evening, 2 20-minute investments daily. In exchange, over 30 days, a measurable, documented, neurologically real restructuring of the mental foundation that determines your financial future. I'm aware that might still sound like a large claim, so let me tell you about what happens when people actually do this. Chapter 9, The 3 Stages of Transformation. What to expect. I want to prepare you for your journey, because knowing what to expect at each stage will help you stay committed when the going feels uncertain. Stage 1, days 1 to 7, the planting. In the first week, you are planting seeds in soil that may have held a very different garden for many years. The changes are real. They are happening beneath the surface. But you probably won't see them yet. You may feel uplifted after sessions. You may also feel resistance, a part of your mind that genuinely pushes back when you say, I attract wealth with ease, because some older part of you is saying, no, you don't. This resistance is healthy. It is the sign of old programming being challenged. It means the new input is making contact. Continue regardless. This is exactly what is supposed to happen. Stage 2, days 8 to 21, the emerging. Something starts to shift in the second and third weeks that is subtle but unmistakable once you know what to look for. Your perception begins to change. You start noticing things you would have walked past before. An article that triggers a useful idea. A conversation that opens a door. A moment of synchronicity that makes you pause. Your emotional baseline around money begins to soften. The anxiety loosens slightly. The sense that wealth is permanently out of reach begins to give way to something quieter and more open. These shifts are significant. They indicate that new neural pathways are forming and strengthening. Stage 3, day 22 and beyond, the momentum. This is where things become remarkable. Practitioners consistently report that beyond the 3-week mark, their outer circumstances begin to visibly shift. New income opportunities emerge. Creative ideas arrive with greater frequency and more practical texture. Relationships with successful, generative people begin to expand in unexpected ways. The felt sense, and this is the part that is hardest to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it, is that wealth is no longer something happening to other people. It begins to feel like your natural state, like you are moving toward it not desperately, but inevitably. This is the mind aligned with its intention, and it is available to you. It begins with the practice, and the practice begins now. Chapter 10, You Are Not Broken. The truth about who you already are. I want to speak to something that I think is at the heart of why so many people struggle financially, even people who are intelligent, hardworking, disciplined, and genuinely motivated to succeed. Somewhere underneath the goals and the strategies and the self-improvement efforts, there is often a quiet, persistent belief. A belief so old and so embedded that it rarely even surfaces as a conscious thought. It just operates, like background software. The belief is, I am not enough. Not enough to deserve wealth, not smart enough to build it, not special enough for it to happen to me, not the kind of person who gets to live that kind of life. I want to say something to that belief directly. It is a lie, an old, inherited, installed lie, planted in you before you had the capacity to evaluate it. And it has been running your life in ways that have cost you more than you can currently measure. The capacity for extraordinary abundance already exists within you. It is not somewhere you need to get to. It is not a version of yourself you need to become. It is present right now in how your mind works, in your capacity to think, to imagine, to create value, to connect with other people, to solve problems, to persist through difficulty. All of that is already there. What has been missing is not ability. It has been belief. And the practice of feeding that belief consistently, with precision and emotional depth, until the old lie loses its grip and the true story of who you are takes over. That is the work. And it is the most important work you will ever do. Not because wealth itself is the point. Wealth is a tool, a resource, a form of freedom that allows you to live your deepest values more fully, to give more generously, to take care of the people you love, to contribute something real to the world. The point is becoming the version of yourself who creates that. The person who wakes up every morning knowing, not hoping, not wishing, knowing that they are building something real. That person is not far from where you are standing right now. They are one consistent practice away. Chapter 11, your next step, the practice that completes this journey. You have spent this time listening to the Millionaire's secret mind, the science and the psychology of how your thoughts create your financial reality. You understand now that this is not wishful thinking. It is not motivation for the sake of motivation. It is how the human mind works. And if you have listened this far, something in you recognizes it. Something in you knows that this is true, and has probably known it for longer than you can remember. Now I want to tell you what comes next. Everything we have discussed in this audiobook, autosuggestion, the power of emotional repetition, the morning and evening subconscious windows, the compound neurological effect of consistent practice, it is all preparation for a complete wealth affirmation practice that is waiting for you. The Millionaire's Secret Mind audio collection contains 2 complete affirmation recordings, a morning session called I Rise in Abundance and an evening session called I Sleep in Prosperity. Each has been crafted by working deeply with the principles in this audiobook, combining proven autosuggestion language, emotionally evocative delivery, and the precise structure needed to move your subconscious mind from resistance to reception. They are not generic. They are specific, powerful, and designed to work together as a complete 30-day transformation system. Listeners who have committed to the full 30-day practice have described things like a promotion they weren't expecting that arrived within weeks of beginning, a business idea that felt different from their usual ideas, clearer, more confident, more ready to be acted on, a shift in their relationship with money, from anxiety to authority, a felt sense of inevitability around their financial goals that they had never experienced before. These are not testimonials designed to impress you. They are the predictable results of a consistent practice applied to a mind that is ready to receive it. And I believe your mind is ready. You have spent this time with me. You haven't tuned out. You haven't moved on to something more comfortable. You've stayed. And that tells me something about you. It tells me that part of you already knows that a different financial life is not just possible, it is available. Right now, through the doorway of your daily mental practice. To access the Millionaire Secret Mind Affirmation audio collection, visit ashana.com. The link is in the description below this video. Your morning and evening sessions are waiting for you. I'll say it again simply. Go to ashana.com, the link is below. Get your audios, start tonight. Begin with the evening session. Lie down. Put in your headphones. Let the words move past your conscious mind and settle somewhere deeper. And in the morning, before you check your phone, before the world comes rushing in, let the morning session remind you of who you are and who you are becoming. Do it for 30 days. Every single day. Even the days it feels like nothing is happening. Especially those days. And then look back. Look back at where you started, at what you were thinking, at what felt impossible, and notice what has changed inside and out. The foundation of your abundant life is being built. Right now, with every thought you choose deliberately, every belief you feed intentionally, every morning and every evening you invest in the only mind you will ever have. You are what you think. So think like the person you are becoming. I'll see you on the other side.